Hello everyone, this is Mrs. Swanson. I am outside right now, so you can probably hear all the birds. I wanted to show you guys some examples of stories that I'm going to be reading that are nonfiction this week. I'm going to read this book right now. This is about tsunamis, and remember what we always say about nonfiction, that means not fake, and then fiction means fake. So I sent you a video that you can watch on YouTube that shows you the difference between fiction and nonfiction. So you want to make sure that you know the difference before you start reading nonfiction stories. Here's another example of a nonfiction story. It's called Hurricane Disaster. We know that something is not fake when there's real pictures. Now these are all real things, real people. And also, one little thing that kind of gives away that this is nonfiction, it has a table of contents. So if you want to learn about underwater, you would go to page 20. All of these pages talk about real things. They have a lot of facts about different things about hurricanes. They might tell you the different kind of winds and where these hurricanes were, and show you maps and certain things like that. So this is a really cool book that I'll probably read later on this week. Here's another story that I wanted to read to you guys last week, but it got a little too crazy. This is a longer story about Buzz Aldrin. He is a real person, and he is one of the people that landed on the moon. As you can tell, there's a lot of words in this story, so it might take a while to get through it. But now the difference between these two books, this has real life pictures that somebody actually took, and then these are pictures probably of what he looked like, and actual things that he did, but an illustrator actually drew or painted these pictures for the book. So they're not real pictures that somebody took with their camera or their phone, but still, this is a nonfiction book. So right now, I'm going to read to you the book Tsunamis, 6 tsunami waves battered parts of Thailand in 2004. Right there, I know this is nonfiction because it gave me a date and where this was. So here we go. First of all, I want to see if this has a table of contents when I'm turning the pages. Here's a fun little thing to get started. It says, find the truth. Everything you are about to read is true except for one of the sentences on this page. Which one is true? True or false? Elephants helped clean up after a major tsunami in 2004. True or false? Most tsunamis are caused by tornadoes. Find the answers in this book. So we'll come back to this after. Remember these questions, and then you guys can discuss it with your parents afterwards. Okay, first of all, I see a table of contents already. So we must be starting with Out of the Blue, and then we'll be finishing with Preventing Future Disasters. Okay, remember another thing that I always tell us to do is read these little labels, the captions by the pictures. Those are very important. I'm going to turn it this way so you can see both pages, and I am holding it with my phone, so hopefully it's not too shaky. In Sumatra, Indonesia, many people live in villages near the ocean. Out of the Blue. December 26, 2004 started as a typical sunny day in Sumatra, Indonesia, an island in Southeast Asia. Ari Afrizal, a 21-year-old carpenter, was building a house on the beach. Suddenly, the ground started to shake. Without warning, a wave crashed into him. Then came a monster wave, a wall of water 30 feet, 9 meters high. Indonesia is made up of more than 17,500 islands. Fighting for survival. The giant wave pushed Ari inland. He was tossed around like a rag in a huge washing machine. Ari tried to cling to tree branches. However, as the water pulled back, he was dragged out to sea. Far from shore in the deep ocean, Ari first found a plank of wood to float on, then a leaky fishing boat. He survived on the milk and meat of coconuts he found floating in the storm debris. On his 7th day, Ari was lucky enough to find a large fishing raft with a hut on it. Finally, on the 15th day, Ari awoke to find a giant ship looming over him. A sailor on a container ship took this photo of Ari Afzal's raft just before Ari below was rescued. Here's his raft, and here's the big ship. And this must be Ari. Ari had survived the most destructive tsunami in history. A tsunami is a series of huge waves triggered by a sudden movement of the ocean floor. This tsunami was caused by an earthquake beneath the Indian Ocean, and all the tsunami claimed about 230,000 lives in 12 countries in Asia and Africa. Millions of people were left without homes, clothing, or food. And here's a map of where the earthquake, the center, and all these places that it affected. You can see heavily affected regions are red, and the affected regions are yellow. First hit. Banda Aceh is a city on the northern tip of Sumatra. It was one of the first cities to be hit by the tsunami waves. Banda Aceh was badly hit because it was close to the earthquake's epicenter. Some waves reached as high as 55 feet. Within moments, coastal suburbs were flattened. Cars and fishing boats were tossed around like sticks. Thousands of people were swallowed by the sea. More than 120,000 people died. This satellite photo shows Banda Aceh 6 months before the tsunami. Banda Aceh is a changed city in this photo taken 2 days after the tsunami hit. So there's a huge difference of what happened. All these houses and buildings, and now it looks like this. Tsunami waves charged across the Indian Ocean about 2 hours after the earthquake. Waves slammed into Sri Lanka, an island nation off the coast of India. The waves surged more than 1 mile inland. They flooded a train, killing more than 800 people. More than 35,000 Sri Lankans were killed. 7 hours after the quake, tsunami waves crashed ashore in Africa. That's about 2,800 miles from the earthquake's epicenter. Some people on the Andaman Islands saw the tsunami in time to run for higher ground. So you can see the water coming through right here. That would be very scary. Tsunamis in Motion, Chapter 2. Most tsunamis were caused by earthquakes under the ocean. Waves then speed in all directions, traveling far from the epicenter of the earthquake. A tsunami travels very fast. It can reach speeds of 600 miles per hour in the deep ocean. That's as fast as the speed of some airplanes. The earthquake that caused the tsunami also triggered a volcanic eruption on the Andaman Islands. Lots of big words in there. Shaky Earth. To understand how earthquakes cause tsunamis, think about the planet's rocky outer shell or crust. The crust is broken up into the massive slabs called tectonic plates. The plates fit together like pieces of jigsaw puzzles. Tectonic plates are always in motion. They may slowly slide past or push into one another. Plate movement can result in a sudden release of energy. We call this an earthquake. The boundary between two tectonic plates is called a fault. The San Andreas Fault in California lies between two plates that are sliding in opposite directions. In deep water, a powerful tsunami may rise only a foot or two. Sailors on big ships could run over a tsunami without even realizing it. Earthquakes give off waves of energy that move in all directions. Earthquakes under the sea send waves speeding through the water. In deep water, the waves spread out below the surface so they are barely noticeable. However, the waves become more dangerous as they travel closer to land. Growing waves. As the sea gets shallower near the shore, tsunami waves slow down to about 25 miles an hour. Long waves begin to pile up like folds of a rug pushed against a wall. They grow into a towering tsunami waves. After a tsunami wave hits the shore, there may still be danger ahead. One tsunami is made up of a series of waves. The wavelength of tsunami waves is long. The distance between one wave and the next may be more than 60 miles. A second wave could hit minutes after the first one. However, it could also take more than 1 hour. The word tsunami is made up of the Japanese words for harbor and wave. Birth of a tsunami. An earthquake moves part of the seabed up. Water is pushed up. This creates a tsunami wave. The tsunami waves slow down and get higher as they move into shallow water. The tsunami waves hit the shore, submerging coastal land. You can see the water coming up so high that it's almost as high as these buildings. Yikes. Ring of disaster. If a tsunami is going to form, it's likely to start in the Pacific Ocean. Right here by North America. See, we're all the way over here, so we would probably be okay. Tsunamis normally happen in the Pacific Ocean, which is right here. So they're saying that it could happen anywhere over here. This is California over here. And again, we're all the way over here. So we don't really have to worry about that. About 85% of tsunamis strike there. Why? The Pacific is surrounded by faults or boundaries between Earth's tectonic plates. Earthquakes, volcanoes, and landslides usually occur along faults. All these events can trigger tsunamis. The Pacific faults are so unstable that the area is called the Ring of Fire. Yikes. Volcanic tsunamis. Sometimes tsunamis can be triggered by volcanoes, falling asteroids, or landslides. Krakatoa is a volcanic island in Indonesia. Its eruption in 1883 was the most violent in recorded history. The island exploded and 2/3 of it plunged into the sea. This triggered a tsunami. The waves were as high as 130 feet. Tsunami waves killed about 35,000 people. Krakatoa, before the 1883 eruption, blew the mountain apart. 4 months after the tsunami, life was still a struggle for survivors in Banda Aceh. Many were waiting for new homes to be built. Chapter 3, Surviving the Waves. Millions of people got caught up in 2004 tsunami. It didn't matter whether they were young or old, rich or poor. The world watched in shock and sorrow as the death toll increased in Asia and Africa. Yet survivors told tales of luck, quick thinking, bravery, and generosity. 2/3 of the city of Banda Aceh was destroyed by the 2004 tsunami. That's almost all of the city. Lucky number 81. In Sri Lanka, a 2-month-old baby was separated from his parents. He was thrown by the waves onto a heap of debris. Because no one knew his name, hospital workers nicknamed him Baby 81. He was the 81st patient they had seen that day. After 2 months and genetic tests, the baby was reunited with his parents. His real name was Abhilasha Jayaraja. I don't know if that's right, but so he was tossed by the waves and he survived. 9 couples said that Baby 81 was their child. So a lot of people thought that this was their child, but after all the genetic tests they did on him, they found out that these were his real parents. Supermodel survivor. A Czech fashion model, Petra Nemkova, was vacationing in Thailand when the tsunami struck. Waves swept her away. She survived by clinging onto a palm tree for nearly 8 hours. Having witnessed the tsunami and its impact, Nemkova started a charity to help children who suffered from disasters. She has helped build schools, mobile medical units, and more. Smart student. Tilly Smith was on vacation in Thailand the day of the tsunami. The British schoolgirl was 10 years old. She and her family were relaxing on the beach. Suddenly, Tilly noticed something strange. The sea looked frothy. Also, the water was receding from the shoreline, exposing the seafloor. Many people have walked onto the uncovered sand to collect fish and seashells. Yet Tilly remembered something she had learned in school just 2 weeks earlier. She recognized the unusual events as warning signs of a tsunami. Tilly began screaming for her family to run to higher ground. She and her parents alerted others to evacuate the beach. The family raced to the hotel's 3rd floor just as the tsunami struck. They watched from their window. Waves engulfed everything in view. A quick-thinking schoolgirl had saved about 100 lives. A tsunami timeline. Here's a timeline that you can read. Here's one that happened in 1883, caused by the Krakatoa eruption. The Pacific Tsunami Warning Center is up after a tsunami strikes Hawaii. 1960, a huge earthquake near Chile creates a tsunami that travels all the way to Japan. In 2004, the Red Cross feeds thousands of people affected by the Indian Ocean tsunami. Here's a fun page. It says, "The Big Truth, Nature's Warning. Sometimes nature tells you that something unusual is happening. If more people had been aware of warning signs on the day of the Indian Ocean tsunami, more lives could have been saved. These illustrations show tsunami warning signs. Anyone who notices these should move to higher ground as quickly as possible. Hidden danger. Everything seems normal at the beach. Then you feel the earth move. It's an earthquake. Vanishing ocean. The sea looks much frothier than normal and is receding. There is a lot of seafloor left exposed. Wall of water. An enormous wave heads toward the beach. It's a tsunami. Smart student. Oh, we already read that. Whoops. In Thailand, elephants were used to clean up rubble created by the killer tsunami. Chapter 4, Cleaning Up. Once the waves receded from the 2004 tsunami, the scope of the devastation could be seen. The basic necessities of food, clean water, and shelter were unavailable for many people. Roads and millions of homes were in ruins. Electrical and telephone lines were down. Hospitals had been destroyed. The task ahead was enormous. 6 elephants that had worked in movies helped to rescue tsunami survivors. Helping out. Televisions and newspapers all over the world showed images of the tsunami and wreckage that followed it. Many people were motivated to help. Governments, international organizations, businesses, and individuals all helped in the recovery efforts. The worldwide community donated billions of dollars in aid to tsunami survivors. Nations around the world sent food, water, clothing, medicine, and other supplies. Soldiers arrived to clear debris so that trucks could get through. Relief workers set up tents and other temporary homes. Doctors and nurses flew in from around the world. The quick international response helped to avert widespread hunger and disease. Rebuilding. Local people had a lot of cleaning up to do before they could start rebuilding. As they cleared away the debris, decisions were being made about what should be rebuilt and how it would be done. The idea was to build back better. It was important that replacement buildings would be able to withstand floods, earthquakes, and severe weather. The greatest challenge was to rebuild quickly and cheaply. Many new homes were made from bricks or concrete blocks. Block structures are affordable and sturdy. They also provide good insulation. Volunteers from around the world have helped with the long process of rebuilding. In Sri Lanka, nearly 1 million people were left homeless by the disaster. Many aid agencies have helped build new homes. Koh Lip Island, Thailand is a popular holiday location. It now has tsunami evacuation route signs, so they tell you where to go and how far you need to go if there's a tsunami coming. Chapter 5. Preventing future disasters. After the 2004 tsunami, people learned the importance of preparedness in reducing tsunami damage. They also learned the role the natural environment plays in tsunami protection. Many systems were put in place to protect against a repetition of the 2004 disaster. Sensing tsunamis. The first step in keeping people safe is knowing when a tsunami forms. Scientists measure seismic activity on the ocean floor to spot tsunami triggers such as earthquakes. In addition, they use data from instruments called tsunameters. They also rely on knowledge of the shape of the ocean floor. Computers analyze this information to predict when a tsunami might strike and how big it may become. Tsunami alert. Deep in the Pacific Ocean lies modern technology that helps detect tsunamis when they first form. A tsunameter is a water pressure recorder that rests on the ocean floor. Water pressure varies according to wave height. The tsunameter sends the data it gathers to a nearby buoy. The buoy also monitors weather and water conditions on the surface and sends all the data to a satellite. The satellite beams a radio signal to scientists at warning centers. This buoy is a key part of a tsunami predicting system. Awesome. All right, so we read all 5 chapters, and I'm going to go back to that little question so that you guys can discuss that. So you need to decide which one is true. Elephants helped clean up after a major tsunami in 2004, or most tsunamis are caused by tornadoes. I'm thinking the one that is true is this one because I remember the picture in my head of the elephants helping clean up. So this is our story for this week. You can use it. You can read your own story. But this is a nonfiction story, and I know one of your activities is to find 5 of your favorite or 5 of the most important facts of your nonfiction story. So if you need to go back in this video, you can go back to any of the parts of the story. I know one of my favorites is definitely where is it? It has to be the elephants helping clean up. I think that's super cool. Also, another really important thing, finding facts about what a tsunami means. So you might be going back to these pages and these pictures that talk about why tsunamis happen and maybe describing what those look like. So on page 17, here's a great example of what a tsunami starts out like and then what it does when it's kind of going into the coast. So I would be looking back at some facts like that. So this is just an example of a nonfiction story. So if you want to, you can use this book as your story for this week for a nonfiction book to do your activities with. And I hope this helps. And hopefully I'll get to read hurricane disasters next, maybe later on this week. And we're kind of having a little theme of some natural disasters here. I thought since we're kind of talking about weather in science last week and this week that we could continue learning about some different types of weather. Alrighty, well, have a great Monday, and I hope this helps. Bye.